Brazilian wildlife. Man, I love. That was just really cool because surfing in Rio, they, almost like Sao Paulo, they compare it to like the New York of Brazil. It's really, it's been developed a lot. It's a big hub for businesses, and a lot of people from all over Brazil will come there. A lot of tourists come there, and so it's really developed. There's a lot of buildings and stuff. And I personally love nature, and so I remember when I got there, I was like, man, there's like no way. Like the only thing I'll find is like a little like street rat or something like that. That'll be the nature. But ironically, it's like they built the jungle. It's like they built the city around the jungle in a sense, where you still like run into like animals all the time. I remember running into little monkeys that are like they're like squirrels there, little things just running around. They have parrots. They're not super common macaws, but they're around. I remember one area there would always be one that'd fly by in the morning. It's almost like a rooster, kind of just making noises in the morning, which are actually really nice. So I didn't mind it. But there's just a lot of different fauna there. Like the plants are amazing. They're just a variety of colors, and they're all really extravagant. Because Brazil's pretty warm year round, they don't really go through a fall phase. And so they don't have a phase where the trees turn brown and start to shed tons of leaves. It's just like the plants just chill out a little bit. But and if anything, it's like they stay just as vibrant and just as full of life. There's a lot of reds in the plants out there, which is super cool because that just looks lush and just like powerful. A lot of stray dogs. I don't know if you can count that as like the nature. I remember I was in one area so long, I got really comfortable with like all the stray dogs. Like I feel like I can recognize them by name almost. It was a good relationship. Cool. Plants and animals.
Any insects?
Insects. Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's like the common insects that you'd find pretty much in like the south. I mean, there's snakes, and then you'd find like wasps and like all variety of ants. Leafcutter ants are pretty cool. That's something that I didn't see much here in the States, but I remember walking to a member's house and just seeing this like crazy train of like ants carrying like leaves that were like 15 times bigger than them. I was just like, I had to just take a second and just absorb nature, just enjoy the view, which was super cool. Spiders, a lot of spiders. Don't worry though, they eat other bugs. So if you generally have a spider in your house or something, it's a good sign. A lot of bats. I got pooped on a couple times by a bat. Yeah, I was like, how does that happen? Don't you guys like sleep upside down? I don't know, but bats are really cool. The way houses are super open, and so it's not uncommon to get birds flying through your house too, which is a weird concept. I remember one morning I woke up to work out in the morning, and I opened this closet to get out like this, like, something to put on the ground. And I just remember seeing this like giant brown winged creature just like fly in my face. And of course, like every normal human being, I freaked out. Like I lost it. I was just screaming and stuff. And like I thought it was, the devil of bats or something, or like the queen of all birds. I just panicked. And later in retrospect, it ended up being a moth. but it was like this big. That thing was huge, and it must have like, I don't know, pupated in the closet there because it was, I don't know how it got there. It was huge. But it became a really fun experience. Just, my interaction with Brazilian nature and stuff. Brazilian food. A staple at every meal is going to be beans and rice. If they don't have rice, they'll have beans and pasta, which is really strange at first, but it's actually really good. It's a little hard to manipulate with like a spoon and a fork, but really, really good food. So that's the basics of every Brazilian meal. And even if you go to a fancy restaurant, people will get beans and rice. That's just it's like water. You have to have it. Fruits are very just what's the word I'm looking for? They're very abundant there. You find them all over the place. People make fresh juices all the time, and you won't want it any other way. They're delicious, and they just pretty much they'll cut up a fruit, throw it in a blender with some sugar and water, and bam, it's delicious. You get some really fun fruits too, like star fruit and passion fruit, which is divine, but it's a natural kind of like sedative in a sense. Like it's kind of like a natural sleeping pill in a sense. You drink it, and the next like hour is gonna be rough. Trying to like stay awake and tracked. Just like every fruit, there's like so many different fruits that I was kind of blown away. There's just all sorts of fun things. And then there's like meat. You generally have like a meat, dish with your meal, be it chicken or pork or beef. That's always nice. You gotta have your meat. You have some sort of like salad in a sense, which they always I guess garnish your salad with like olive oil and vinegar, or just olive oil and salt, which is so good. It sounds weird, but I do it to this day because it's so good. It's simple. There are some Brazilian foods which are different, just traditionally, Brazil has a really large African, I guess you could say African ancestry influence in this, a lot of during the slave trade, they brought a lot of Africans over to Brazil, and so Brazil has just rich culture. And one thing that Africans brought with them were kind of these like some interesting eating habits in a sense, like things like eating the cow stomach and like eating all the weird parts of like the pig, like the ears and the knuckles and the nose. And so a lot of these foods, which aren't really eaten a lot anymore, are kind of traditional in a sense. There's a really common food called feijoada, and it consists of like black beans mixed in with like pig ears and pig knuckles and all the weird parts of like the animal that like no one would want, because that's what slaves ate. They ate the leftovers that no one wanted. But it's such a big part of Brazilian culture now that they make it, of course, nowadays. But they use like the good parts of the animals. They use like kind of like dehydrated meats to cook in there with it, so they don't like fall apart. It's super good. It's so good. Pretty much. I mean, of course, like every culture, there are kind of like rules and standards to how to interact, and refusing someone's food is super rude. So never do it. I don't care how picky you are or how hungry you might not be. Just eat it. Yeah, that's kind of food in a nutshell.